So I've drove this truck for 1,000,000 miles, and the life of this truck has had the Suprex Gold ESP oil in it, and I've always used Dieselex Gold fuel. Going into this overhaul, I'm looking to see wear patterns, to see on the oil side what we actually have got going on, if anything. Hopefully everything looks good. Wear patterns will show me how good the oil's working, and then also getting into it, seeing the fuel side of it, seeing the carbon deposits. If there's a lot of carbon, it's got 1,000,000 miles on it, so it's probably going to have some wear and some carbon, and we're going to see how much and see if this technology that they're telling me about is working. Caleb is working on overhauling my truck. I specifically asked for Caleb when I come in here. He's been a mechanic here for 17 years. Does an excellent job. That's why I asked for him when I pull in. Caleb was impressed with what he saw inside for 1,000,000 miles. Valves were clean, seat and injectors were working good. Bearings were worn. 1,000,000-mile bearings are going to be worn, but not excessive. And everything that we saw turned out where he was impressed, and so am I.
When we look down in here and get the injectors out, we can see the injector cups. So we can see that they're still bright and shiny. A lot of times when you don't have it sealing, it'll be dark where the carbon comes up past. The tips of the injectors were very clean, no carbon. The bodies of the injectors were still shiny like they were brand new. If you get carbon packing in there, it just kind of turns them brown or black.
The key to injectors is when they inject the fuel into the combustion chamber, that's atomized. The more it's atomized, the more power you're going to get, the less smoke you're going to get because it burns more complete. So the trick is there's like 6 little ports at the end of this injector. What I do is I just kind of look and see if there's any carbon forming, because this is right in the combustion chamber that's plugging these holes. From just the naked eye, I don't really see anything here. So what we're going to do from here is package these up. I'm going to send them back to the lab where we'll actually disassemble them, and we'll look at the needle in the bore. We'll look for any kind of scoring, and then we'll look for any kind of carbon that's built up inside the end of the injector. We've gotten a part here. You can see the parts, but this is one of the more critical areas that we want to look at. And so I'm going to pull this apart here, the nozzle and the needle. As you can see, the shiny part on the needle is where the tolerances are very, very tight. And any kind of deposit could affect how this goes in and out of this bore. And it makes it jumpy, which is going to affect your fuel delivery. So that's one of the first things I look at. The second thing is the nozzle and the delivery holes. There's 6 holes in the end of this injector nozzle. And how this fuel comes out of here is key for how it burns in the engine. The darkness on the end of this is just from the heat, because this whole end of this injector is in the combustion chamber, so it sees the high temperatures when the engine's running. So I wanted to show you one. It's out of a different little style of injector, but one that's not as clean and doesn't actually have as many miles on it either. But you can see the carbon on this needle, and that's what we don't want to see.
there's no carbon buildup on your spray pattern there. You'll see where each fuel spray out of the tip of the injector is, no carbon. If you can see the star pattern from where the fuel sprays out the tip of the injector, that usually starts building up here, and then it'll just work its way out here, and there'll be a carbon star, I guess you would call that. None of these have any carbon on it except for this very little minimal right here.
So the spray pattern kind of shows me that the Dieselex Gold that I'm using is working.
Right, yes. Very clean.
Yeah.
Million miles on this engine, there is no carbon buildup at all. On the sides, none, and the spray pattern, none. So then the rings on this are very loose, no carbon packing. If we were burning oil or the fuel wasn't right, they'd be stuck down. Most of the time on high miles engines, carbon packed. The rings will stick in there. They'll just be, there'll be no movement.
Yeah.
Well, this tells you that there's very little carbon. You wouldn't be able to move them in and out at all. And these are flopping the ring grooves right there.
So that shows my Suprex Gold ESP oil that I've been using has actually been working, and I need to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yes, exactly.
It's a good test to see how the quality of what I'm using in the oil is working.
Yeah, a million miles and no stuck rings. The block has piston cooling nozzles, and what they do is they spray up into this hole. That's what cools this crown. The top keeps this cool. When we push these pistons out, you get a line of carbon up here where the piston doesn't run. When we push these out, I was able to just push them right out with my hand and right up out the top. Usually you have to clean that edge out before you push it out. That goes from the fuel and the oil that he's using to not have the buildup. A lot of crosshatch still left in it. Just minor polishing. Looks really good for the miles that's on it. The crosshatching, what it does is holds the oil on the side of the liner. If you lose that, then of course you have more of a gap and you're going to start burning oil.
Yeah.
It's going to come up past. The bearings here, the main bearings, these are the uppers, which don't usually have much wear because they don't carry as much of the load. Over here's the lowers. We have wear, but very good looking for a million miles. Same with the rod bearings. These are the uppers here, where it takes all the load. Very minimal wear there, showing no copper. When you get in the copper, that's where you get the wear. We've got a couple of the valves out. Take a look at those. As you can see, that's the exhaust side, very clean. Intake side, normal caking, no carbon buildup at all. A lot of times you can't, see these, you can read the part number on there. You never can read the part number. So with this being in the truck for 1,000,000 miles, that's very surprising to see. Valve seats look good still. A little bit of wear, but with this many miles, very common. Got a little ridge. Still sealing. You can see it's shiny all the way around.
Yep.
No spots.
Right.
So all that looks really good.
So Caleb, after looking at this stuff today, I have 4 semis and showing my maintenance intervals and what I do, what my Suprex Gold ESP oil does, and my Dieselex Gold. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. Hopefully I'll keep getting these results because everything looks really phenomenal to me.
Most of the time when we have overhauls, we're doing them at 500,000–600,000. We see quite a bit of wear in the bearings. We'll see copper. With this engine, with being 1,000,000 miles, I figured we'd find some copper in some bearings and some carbon packing, but very minimal, and it is surprising. Running good quality oil and fuel is going to keep your engine clean in the long run. It's going to keep the fuel side, the oil side. As you can see, the top of your head has no black buildup from running dirty oil. And then also on the top of the valves, they are very clean, and that goes for burning the fuel completely and burning a good fuel.
The test results from what I saw when we took it apart have shown that that quality oil has got me to where I am. No bad results in this overhaul. Everything, the cam, everything looks spotless. I was very impressed with the age of the motor and how the oil held up.
You cannot get much better than this. 1,000,000 miles. The injectors, pistons, cylinders, bearings, combustion chambers, and valves. All proof that combining good engine management along with quality Dieselex Gold and Suprex Gold ESP keep engines delivering power, running efficiently, smoothly, and protected.